Sure. I think neutral is just a little over 3%. The U.S. economy is doing extremely well. Fundamentals are very strong. The labor market is doing terrific. Unemployment is below 4%, which is really something. Payroll employment has been over 200,000 per month for many months, which is really a good showing. And inflation is up to 2%. I spent quite a long time indicating that I think inflation needs to get up to 2%. And here we are. So I think things are going very well. This is something that can be continued for a number of years. In fact, I think that by setting the policy rate just a little above neutral, that will continue to keep things going for quite some time.
I have, for 30 years, I used to be a trader, and like every other trader, I was obsessed by a non-farm payroll on the first Friday of every month. But the bit I really look forward to now looking at is the AHE line as well, the average hourly earnings as well, sir. Right. Any indication that the AHE is going to tip higher in a more aggressive fashion at any stage, or do you think that side of the equation is still very much under control?
Well, I think wages are a big part of the issue right now, and average hourly earnings is one part of it. The employment cost index is another piece. Every indication we can get as to whether or not labor is getting paid more in line with productivity growth and inflation, how is that supporting income and their demand? That's very important. We've gotten it up. It's at about 3% depending on your measure. That's stronger than it had been. But during much stronger times in the mid-2000s, we were in the 3 to 4% range. I would personally think that it would be a very good sign if we got up to that level. Some of the things working against that is productivity is lower. It's much lower now than it was during that period. And the puzzle, I would say, is you talk to so many businesses and they indicate how difficult it is to find qualified workers. They're looking for a slightly higher skill mix, I would say, than 10 years ago. And, you know, they're struggling to find the workers. Then you ask them, well, are you paying more? Well, that's not exactly our first choice. They work very hard to find workers at the right wage, knowing that it influences their entire wage bill if they increase wages. And so they're struggling, and yet people are employed. Businesses are expanding. The economy is doing well. So one way or another, I think it's going to work out.
Charlie, you could be talking about Amazon there. We know this is a company that has struggled to find the right workers. There's been a shortage of delivery drivers, just as you have this push higher in e-commerce. And what have we got in the last 24 hours? The company saying it will pay its workers more, so there will be a minimum wage. There's been a series of different minimum wage increases in your country over the last 18 months or so. What does that do to wage pressure over time? Is it a trickle effect where you start to see the lower end lift and then every other barrier starts to lift across the wage profile in the country?
You're right the way you characterize it is minimum wages are going up. That's the way the story is portrayed. I mean, in fact, officially the legislated minimum wage has not been increased for quite some time, but what people are doing is the wage that's the lowest that they were offered at each firm is being increased. I mean, I think that's a little bit of an important thing to keep in mind in terms of lower paid workers, but firms are increasing the wages that they have to pay everyone. I think that's extremely normal when you've got an unemployment rate of 3.9%. When you're trying to expand, if you've got the best business model, you need to have workers. If you don't have the best business model, maybe you're finding out how much of a struggle that is and whether or not you can pay those wages or not. I think we're going to find out a lot about businesses over the next 2 years.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.